Hello everyone, myself KC Koteshwaramma, working as Assistant Professor in EC Department at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Dundigal, Hyderabad. Today I am with you to discuss about the course Electromagnetic Waves and Transmission Lines. So, if you go through electromagnetic waves and transmission lines, or if you go through any subject, we may have a question, what is that and why to study that? Here I'm trying to give you a brief thing about what is electromagnetics and why to study electromagnetics. Here, electromagnetics is the study of interaction of fields generated by time varying charge distributions and currents. Here, we all are enjoying the applications of electromagnetic waves, and the basic point or basic source for this electromagnetic wave is the charge, and that charge is moving with respect to time. It is creating some current. So that charge is creating electric field and the moving current is creating magnetic field. Finally, by combining this electric and magnetic fields, we will get electromagnetic field or electromagnetics. And that electromagnetic wave is passing through different guiding structures like transmission lines, waveguides, and at the destination end, we all are enjoying the applications. So usually our first question is what is electromagnetics? And this electromagnetics here is the study of interaction of fields generated by time varying charge distributions and current distributions. Here charge distributions gives us electric field and current distributions gives us magnetic fields. By combining both electric and magnetic fields, finally we got this electromagnetics. And the next question we have in our mind is why to study this electromagnetics. Usually people are saying that this electromagnetics is one of the toughest subjects. So immediately we may have a question in our mind, why to study this toughest subject? See, in the next slide, I'll try to explain why to study this electromagnetics. See, this is the core subject for electronic students and electrical students and telecommunication students also will study this one as their core subject. Here, electronics and communications engineering students are majorly focusing on communication applications. Here, by the completion of this electromagnetic field theory, we can understand many applications of communications like wireless communication, mobile communication, and microwave applications also. This course provides the necessary information to understand the wireless communications, microwave applications, both in military and household applications. And this course introduces the basic laws of electromagnetic fields, time varying Maxwell's equations, wave propagation in both guided and unguided medias, and then transmission lines. And it provides the basic information to study the further courses like antennas and wave propagation, microwave engineering, and fiber optics also. Almost 99% of the world communication traffic is with the help of optical fiber networks only. The optical fiber network cables are carrying electromagnetic signals. See, here I'm trying to give the clear thing why to study electromagnetics. Everyday life is saturated by artificially made electromagnetic radiations. Food is heated in microwave ovens. Airplanes are guided by the radar waves. Television sets receive electromagnetic waves transmitted by broadcasting stations. Many household appliances produce electromagnetic fields like television and computer screens, electric radiators, and electric blankets. See, our day starts with the usage of mobiles, televisions. All these are the applications given by the electromagnetic signals. Electromagnetic field theory is often called electromagnetics. It is a subject that deals with both electric and magnetic fields and also electromagnetic fields. Electric and magnetic fields both are different, and then by combining them, we got electromagnetic fields. So, if you go through the applications of electromagnetic field theory, particularly for electronics section or for for AC students, EMF theory is used in wireless communications. Wireless communications is Wi-Fi. Every day we all are enjoying the applications of Wi-Fi, wireless networks. In that wireless communication, the signal which is passing either through guided or unguided structure is electromagnetic wave only. So that we can consider as the first application, wireless communications. And the next one is satellite communications. Satellite communications, satellites helping us for television and telephone communications. Next one is TV communication. TV communications, here in TV communications, we have an antenna at both transmitter and receiver sections. In between transmitter and receiver, the signal which is passing is electromagnetic wave. Next one is cellular communications, and then radio broadcast, mobile applications, fiber optic communications, radars, and microwave ovens. All these are the applications for ECE students. So, as we all are enjoying the applications of electromagnetic signals, better if you try to know how these electromagnetic fields are generated and how they are guiding by different guided structures. So, up to now, we all studied circuit theory. Circuit theory includes voltage and currents in our intermediate physics and even in our school physics also. We studied circuit theory. So, we may have a doubt here, even we are comfortable with the circuit theory, then why to study this field theory again? Here in circuit theory, delay is not an important parameter. Usually we try to neglect the delay parameter, but whereas in all the long distance communications like mobile communication, television communication, wireless communications, in all these, communication is for longer distances. In longer distance communications, delay is one of the important parameters that we have to keep in mind. In field theory, we take delay, but whereas in circuit theory, usually we neglect delay parameter. And this EM field theory is the core subjects for electrical, ECE and telecommunication engineering students. So in the next slide, I try to give some differences between circuit theory and field theory. If we go through circuit theory deals with voltage and currents, but whereas field theory deals with electric and magnetic fields. In circuit theory, voltage and current are the functions of time, but whereas in field theory, the resulted parameters of the fields, E and H, characteristic parameters, here E is nothing but electric field intensity and H is nothing but magnetic field intensity. E and H are functions of time and space variables. And usually circuit theory deals with the low frequencies, but whereas field theory is for all high frequencies, all the frequencies, particularly for high frequencies, because their circuit, we cannot apply circuit theory for high frequencies. High frequency signals has to communicate for longer distances. Their delay will become an important parameter, but if you try to deal with those high frequency signals with circuit theory, delay will become a problem. And for field theory, EM signals can transmit through free space, but whereas in circuit theory cannot be applied for free spaces. Circuit theory cannot analyze or design a complete communication system. So for a communication student, field theory is very important because here final aim of communication student is they have to design and they have to analyze the communication system. That will be possible only by clearly understanding the field theory. And to explain circuit theory, we have basic laws like Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's law. But whereas for field theory, we have Coulomb's law, which will explain us about the electric fields. Similarly, Gauss law. Gauss law is also for the better understanding of electric fields. And then Ampere's circuit law we have for magnetic fields. The circuit theory deals with Ohm's and Kirchhoff's laws, but whereas field theory deals with Coulomb's, Gauss and Ampere's circuit laws. In circuit theory, we never consider radiation effects, but whereas in field theory, radiation effects can be considered. These, by keeping all these points in mind, so for a communication engineer to design and analyze the communication system, they must have an idea of field theory. And this entire course is divided into 5 modules: electromagnetic waves and transmission lines. Course is divided into 5 modules. So now I'll try to give the important points or key points under those 5 modules. Here the first module deals, but first module can cover Coulomb's law, electric Coulomb's law. Here first module is about the electrostatics. Electrostatics is about the study of charges which are at rest. And to explain this electrostatics, we have 2 important characteristic parameters. One is electric field intensity and the next one is electric flux density. Electric field intensity is represented with capital E, whereas electric flux density is represented with capital D. So here to derive these parameters, these characteristic parameters, we have Coulomb's law. We all know Coulomb's law in scalar form, but here in electromagnetic field theory, we try to recall Coulomb's law in scalar form and then we can derive Coulomb's law in vector form. Because here force and field intensity, all these are vector parameters. So here Coulomb's law helps us to calculate field intensity for force parameters in a particular direction. That means like a vector parameter. And then here I'm telling electrostatics is the study of charges, and that charge distribution may be at a point, or it may be along a line, or it may be along a surface, or it may be along a volume. The basic idea here is, first charge is concentrated at a point, and then by joining such points we will get a line, and then by joining 2 such lines we will get a surface, and then by joining 3 lines we will get a volume. The possible configurations here are, it may be at a point, or it may be along a line, surface or volume. So here also fields, as charge is distributed among a point or a line or a surface or a volume, we must study the fields also due to different charge distributions. And then we have Gauss law, is one more law to explain about the characteristic parameters of electrostatics or electric fields. Here, even though we have Coulomb's law, why we go for Gauss law is applicable for symmetrical charge distributions, but whereas Coulomb's law deals with both the symmetrical and asymmetrical charge distributions. So then by completing this Coulomb's and Gauss laws, we can derive the parameters like force and electric field intensity. And next, one more important parameter here we have to study is electric potential. Here, electric potential is a scalar parameter which is represented with V. And then by deriving all those parameters, we can go for both Poisson's and Laplace's equations. Poisson's and Laplace's equations can explain about the electric fields clearly. And next parameter or the next topic is capacitance. Capacitance here is the storage element. This is trying to store the energy from electric field. This is briefly about the first module. First module is about electrostatics. So Coulomb's law, Gauss law and field intensity, flux density electric potential, all these parameters will come under electrostatics. So by the completion of this first module, we can clearly get a picture of how a charge will be located and what is the effect of charge if it is along a point, at a point, along a line, along a surface, or along a volume. And then the second module deals with the magnetostatics. Here, magnetostatics is nothing but the study of static currents or the currents which are at rest. So to explain about this magnetostatics, we have two laws, Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's circuit law. The major difference between these two laws is Ampere's circuit law is applicable for symmetrical currents, but whereas Biot-Savart's law is applicable for both the symmetrical and asymmetrical currents. Similar to electrostatics, for magnetostatics also we have two characteristic parameters. One is magnetic field strength and the second one is magnetic flux density. Magnetic field strength is represented with the letter H and magnetic flux density is represented with the letter capital P. So these two are important characteristic parameters of the magnetostatics. And then similar to capacitance in electric fields, energy is stored in a capacitor, but whereas in magnetic fields, we have one more storing element which is inductance, and that inductance can store the magnetic energy. So now by the completion of electrostatics and magnetostatics, we can get the mathematical representations or mathematical equations in terms of characteristic parameters of both electric and magnetic fields. By the completion of electrostatics, we can derive two important relations for characteristic parameters, and the characteristic parameters are E and D, electric field strength and flux density. So by the completion of electrostatics, we can derive the relations for both E and D. Those equations we can call as Maxwell's equations for electrostatic fields. Similarly, even for magnetostatics also, we can derive two relations for both B and H. Those two are important characteristic parameters here. So, two characteristic equations for electrostatics and two characteristic equations for magnetostatics we can derive, and then by combining them in the time varying fields, we can have four Maxwell's equations. Four Maxwell's equations will relate electric and magnetic field parameters. For example, if you take electric field strength E, that electric field strength is related to magnetic flux density B. Similarly, electric flux density D is related to magnetic field strength H. So, four Maxwell's equations will give the relations between electric and magnetic field parameters. So, by the completion of second module, we can have a clear picture of time varying magnetic fields. And then now the electromagnetic signal has to travel. And now as electromagnetic signal is moving, we can call it as a wave. And then we try to derive the relation between electric field strength and magnetic field strength. That electric field strength and magnetic field strength relation will give us characteristic impedance. That characteristic impedance has a particular value for free space, which is 120 pi, and that characteristic impedance is represented with the letter eta. And then we have polarization. Here polarization will tells us the orientation of electric field. Depends upon the orientation of the electric field, we can classify polarization into three types. One is linear polarization, second one is circular polarization, and third one is elliptical polarization. In linear polarization, we may have only one component of the electric field. It depends upon in which direction we have that electric field component. We can call it as vertical linear polarization or horizontal linear polarization. The next one is circular polarization. In circular polarization, we have field components, electric field components along any two directions. and the phase difference between them is 90 degrees. But whereas in elliptical polarization, we have both the electric and magnetic field components, and their magnitudes may not be same, and they both are out of phase. And then we can go through reflection and refraction of plane waves. So now by taking electric and magnetic field parameters, electric field will give us V voltage and magnetic field will give us current parameter I. So now here both voltage and current parameters are combining, and finally it gives us the product of voltage and current, which we can take as power. And that power concept is explained with the help of Poynting vector or Poynting theory. This is all about electromagnetic field theory. And next we have is transmission lines. A transmission line is the guiding structure which is used to transfer the power from one place to another place. These transmission lines can transmit the power or electromagnetic wave at all the frequencies. At low frequencies, usually we take transmission lines or power lines, and for high frequencies, we can go for coaxial cables, optical fiber cables, like that. So now, as the electromagnetic wave is traveling or transferring through this guiding structure, transmission line, here we'll try to know what is a transmission line and what are types of transmission lines and what are different parameters that deals with the transmission lines, and then the mathematical representations. Those we can call as transmission line equations, and then propagation parameters, propagation constant and characteristic impedance. And next depends upon either one wave is traveling or group of waves are traveling, we have both phase and group velocities. And then we are always aiming to get better output. So as we are aiming for better output or 100% power, we must design lossless and distortionless transmission lines. Here if you go through transmission line characteristics, transmission line is the combination of parameters resistive, inductive, capacitive and conductive parameters. Those parameters are usually defined per length. And those parameters generally we can call as primary parameters. Primary parameters of a transmission line are resistor, inductor, capacitor and conductor. And then we can derive two more parameters. Those parameters we can call as secondary parameters or secondary constants. Secondary constants are characteristic impedance and then propagation constant. And this is about the fourth module that will gives us a basic idea about what are different transmission lines and what are different characteristic parameters of the transmission line and what are the factors that we must keep in mind while propagating a wave or while designing a transmission line. And next is about UHF transmission lines and then input impedance relations. Input impedance is one of the important parameters in transmission lines, and then short circuit and open circuit lines, reflection coefficient and then voltage standing wave ratio. Next we have one more thing, Smith chart. Smith chart is a graphical representation for characteristic parameters of the transmission line. So this is about different modules of electromagnetic waves and transmission lines. So first three modules will give us how an electromagnetic wave is generating and how it is propagating in different medias, and then we have to transfer that electromagnetic wave for longer distances. That is possible with the help of a guiding structure, which generally we take here is a transmission line. And these are different applications of the electromagnetic waves. Electromagnetics is used by biomedical engineering. Next, this is used for signal processing. Next, computer chip design and circuits, lasers and optoelectronics, microwave engineering, remote sensing and subsurface sensing applications, and then for antenna analysis and design. Next is for wireless communication and propagation. This is all about the syllabus that we are going to cover under this course, electromagnetic waves and transmission lines, and the textbooks which we are going to refer is, these are the textbooks. We have 3 textbooks. First 2 textbooks, Matthew N.O. Sadiku. The title of this book is Elements of Electromagnetics. Oxford University Press, 4th edition we have to refer. And next, one more book is E.C. Jordan and K.G. Balme. Title of this book is Electromagnetic Waves and Radiating Systems. 2nd edition, PHI 2nd edition we have to refer. And these 2 textbooks will give the basic idea about the electromagnetics. And then for transmission lines, next textbook is Umesh Sinha, Sat Prakashan. Title of this book is Transmission Lines and Networks, 2nd edition. So if you go through the cover pages of and the next reference books are Athaneda, Engineering Electromagnetic, Springer, William Haith, G. Shashibhushan Rao. Title of this book is Electromagnetic Field Theory and Transmission Lines. John D. Ryder. Title is Networks, Lines and Fields, PHA publication and 2nd edition. These are the reference books. And if you go to the cover pages of textbooks, these are the textbooks. Matthew N.O. Sadiku, Elements of Electromagnetics. That 4th edition we have to refer. And then this one, Electromagnetic Waves and Radiating Systems by Jordan and Balme, 2nd edition. And for Transmission Lines and Networks by Umesh Sinha. These are the textbooks we have to refer for the better understanding of electromagnetic field theory and transmission lines both. Now this is all about the course overview and the textbooks we have to refer. Okay, thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.